So yeah, with all the political coverage, let's get back to the polls that matter. The college football playoff came out Tuesday night. If you're seeing this later, yeah. So yeah, we just got that a little bit ago, right? And this is kind of the breakdown. I know I've been doing my PowerPoint thing, but I figure I'll just go ahead and show a graphic that's put out. I think this one's from Bleacher Report. So there you go, Bleacher Report. We'll start here, lower left. We'll work this left side and we'll go to the right side. So obviously we know Boise State is that still in that 12 spot. So there you go. And they would be getting Ohio State, who is currently ranked 2, but they would be in that 5 spot. This would be a cool matchup. Boise State going to Ohio State in the shoe in that first round matchup. Then you have 8 Tennessee hosting 9 Indiana. Probably not going to happen. Mostly because Indiana are going to have to really figure out what they're about when they play Ohio State. Either that game's going to dramatically shoot them up or it's going to knock them out. So, honestly, I think Indiana, their season is going to come down to that one game against Ohio State. That's just kind of my perspective. And then on the left side, the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl here, you got Oregon, number 1, BYU, number 4. Both that first round bye. So that's kind of the way that is looking. On the right side, we got Penn State 7, Notre Dame 10. Notre Dame better not slip up. They'll be out. Penn State also. Penn State, you don't have any quality wins. So if you slip up now, any game, yeah, you're going to be out. You got 6 and 11, Texas and Bama. I might be covering that a little bit, yeah. But Bama would be going to Texas. And, kind of a rematch of what we got in the 2 previous years, right? And they played at Texas 2 years ago. They played at Bama last year. Both games were fantastic games. So this would be pretty cool to see. Obviously, they split the 2 previous, so this would be the tiebreaker, right? Tiebreaker over the past 3 years. That would be a pretty good one, I think. Texas, Bama. And then over here you got Sugar Bowl, Georgia, and Miami at the Peach Bowl with first round buys. So, yep, looking pretty good. I kind of liked a lot of the ranking spots. The only one, honestly, that I thought BYU was ranked a little bit low, but it doesn't matter because if they win the conference, they're going to get a first round buy, so it doesn't even matter. Anyways, yeah, there's some pretty good matchups out there. I think Texas Bama, that'd be a pretty interesting one. Man, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is seeing the playoff games at college atmospheres. My gosh, that's gonna be a fun freaking day. And I don't know if it's gonna be all on one day, but that is gonna be a day. Well, yeah, dude. I mean, I haven't talked about it because. I mean, we had the college football playoff committee that was meeting Tuesday night, which is oddly enough the same night as the election. So it's like, are you really going to get a ratings bump there, ESPN? Anyways, yeah. So they came out tonight. Honestly, it wasn't too much different from the AP top 25. There was a little bit of changes. Really even started out here with Ohio State, Georgia. Those 2 were swapped. I kind of for their records and really. Just thinking about the one loss that they both have, Ohio State lost to the number 1 team. Georgia lost to Alabama. And that kind of seems like what probably the main factor for the committee. And I wasn't shocked to see that. Do I think Ohio State's better than Georgia? Honestly, with the way Carson Beck and how slow Georgia is sometimes, possibly. But they play up for big-time games, though. You got to give it to Georgia. If it's a big-time game, they're going to show up. Anyways, Oregon, not much kind of going on there. Ohio State, they had the biggest game of the weekend. They played Penn State, which we talked about last week. Like, that was going to be the big game, and I wasn't big on Penn State. Honestly, if you watch that game, Ohio State controlled Penn State. They controlled them. The only reason why Penn State was even in that game is I think the first or second pass of the game from Ohio State was a pick six. And that was the most offensive points. That was the most points that they scored in the game. I mean, they had 2 other field goals. So the defense put up more points than the offense for Penn State. Yeah, that's not exactly a good recipe to win. But I know Penn State is kind of struggling with some quarterback issues as far as like injuries and stuff like that. But I still not. I wasn't going to be big on Penn State even if they were fully healthy. I'm surprised. I mean, Ohio State, after they got down early, came right back, took a 14-10 lead, and never lost the lead after that. So yeah, Ohio State, they were pretty good. They controlled the game. I was kind of surprised they didn't pull away more. They just kind of they never was able to pull away. So yeah. Anyways, Ohio State, dude, they did what they needed to do. They took care of Penn State. Kind of expected it. There you go. Georgia. Oh my gosh. Speaking of playing, not playing up, or they're always up for the big games. Dude, they played a nobody this weekend, and they almost got stunkered, man. they almost threw it out there. They almost threw the clunker out there. Florida almost got them, and I would even be willing to say if Florida's quarterback doesn't get hurt, they might have gotten Georgia. Like it was Georgia, man. Jesus. That was another reason why you should knock Georgia below Ohio State. Like every game for them is a close game because they don't beat their bad opponents, and their good opponents are always like in it, except for Texas. We're not gonna talk about that. Miami, they had a tough fight for most of their game. I forget who they played, but they pulled away in the fourth. Was it Duke? It was Duke. Yeah, they pulled away in the fourth, and they actually wound up covering the spread I saw in the fourth, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, you're going to cover the spread in the fourth, but I mean, it was basically a tie game right up until the end of the third, and then Miami just started pulling away. So, yeah. Anyways, Miami handled their business at the end of the game like they needed to. Texas on a bye. All right, moving on. Penn State, we kind of already talked. I just don't think they're good. They'll probably make playoffs, honestly, because they don't play anybody else. I don't think they'll lose, and they'll probably be in the 12-team playoff because they most likely are not going to play, and lose. So that means, unless Ohio State gets a couple more, like another loss or two, which I don't see that happening. So Penn State's probably not going to drop anymore for the rest of the season, but they're not going to play in the Big Ten championship game. So there's no risk for them. There's no risk coming up, right? I'm just going to make sure real quick while I'm saying that. Yeah, they don't have much risk unless we'll go on one of those West Coast games, long travel. Maybe they just kind of fall asleep on it or something. Tennessee. So Tennessee played Kentucky, and it basically just kept it close the whole game. Like Tennessee and Georgia, for whatever reason, they're just both on this. We're gonna start slow and pick it up throughout the rest of the game kind of mindset, and it's just. It doesn't look good, and if you continue to do that, you're going to wind up taking those L's. Anyways, Tennessee, they beat Kentucky, but man, it's just not impressive. Indiana, they're about to have some games coming up that they're not going to be able to hide from, really, right? Ohio State, so that's going to be the one here in 3 weeks. They're going to play Michigan this week. Not going to count Michigan completely out. Okay, but Michigan's probably not going to beat Indiana. And then they'll have a bye, and then they'll have Ohio State. Obviously, that's going to be Indiana's test. If Indiana looks somewhat competitive against Ohio State, they'll be all right. They'll probably be in that big, the 12-team playoff. BYU undefeated, like they're controlling. They just control their games. They're doing what they need to do. They've had very impressive wins. Kind of surprised BYU wasn't higher up on the list. They have more impressive wins than Indiana by far. Penn State easily. I mean, BYU has some very quality wins. They've beaten who they beaten? They beaten, I know, Kansas State, not Iowa State. I mean, they beat down Oklahoma State. Who all have they beaten? Kansas State, SMU. That was the other one. SMU, which, I mean, unranked SMU back then, but they're ranked and they're looking pretty good now competing in that ACC. So BYU should be having a little bit more respect. Maybe they will going forward. We'll see, but they have better quality wins than Indiana, and I would say even Tennessee and Penn State and Texas and my Texas and Miami. Honestly, Miami has beaten nobody. Even though they're undefeated, they've beat nobody good. Louisville, possibly. You can say Louisville. All right. Notre Dame, you haven't played anybody. You lost to a no-name team, Northern Illinois. You did beat Texas A&M at the beginning of the year. Okay, I guess. But beating Navy, that does not really qualify me for like a quality win. You should be able to beat Navy. And you got Louisville. All right. I'll give you a little bit there, Notre Dame, but it's still not that many quality opponents. Alabama, probably okay there at 11. Who did they play this week? Yeah, Alabama was off, so no need to talk about them. Boise State, love the running back. I'm really glad Boise State's been playing on Friday nights. Been able to watch some of him. I forget his name like every freaking time, but he's a stud. What is his freaking name, man? He is Ashton Genty. Dude, watch his game on Friday nights. Usually Friday nights. He will not be playing this Friday. Looks like he'll be playing Saturday at night. So, yeah, that stinks. I like Boise State playing Friday nights because I'm able to watch him play because he is freaking really good. He's really electric. Just the way he runs. Obviously, he's not playing against SEC defenses, but he's a lot of fun to watch. Really is. SMU, dude. Talk about a team that a lot of people didn't have coming into the year as a possible do anything team. SMU. Obviously, we know Michigan's like a big letdown. SMU's been a big positive for the year, as well as Indiana. But yeah, SMU doing pretty good. The only loss that they do have is that BYU game, and it, tight game. That's That's like one of BYU's toughest games was that SMU game. So yeah, SMU, don't sleep on them. Texas A&M, obviously, dude. Yeah, Texas A&M threw a big stinker in South Carolina. First off, the AP poll over here, the week before AP, A&M beat LSU. What the hell are y'all doing? Idiotos, man. Idiotos. Anyway, Texas A&M, they're on the bubble. I mean, they'll be in contention if they continue to win out. They'd have to beat Texas. That would be a good quality win for them. So right now, I think their only real quality win is beating LSU. So if they can get my Texas Longhorns, that'd be another one. Ole Miss. Man, I don't even know who you played, but it's probably a good ranking. Ooh, you played Arkansas. That's right. Y'all beat the crap out of Arkansas, man. I saw that score before halftime. They were just beating them down. But y'all get Georgia this week. Have fun with that one. I'd imagine Georgia's defense could be all ready for you guys. Iowa State, team I've been rooting for, mostly because I'm a fan of Matt Campbell, the head coach. Like that dude a lot. There's even talks about Matt Campbell getting poached by a Big Ten team. I saw a headline about that, but I didn't read into it. Anyways, they took the L to Texas Tech. They actually took the lead with like a minute to go, and then Texas Tech went down the field and got the win. Crazy outcome there. I honestly, if I would have known that game was going to be that good, I would have watched it. But I thought Ohio State was going to handle Texas Tech, but they went down right there. Last, I think Tech scored in the last 10 seconds or something like that. Crazy. Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh went to SMU and they got beat. And that's another one of those SMU. I didn't even really talk about this game, but yeah, SMU, dude, they're quality, man. They're quality. They beat Louisville. They're looking like a really good team. The only loss is 3 points to BYU. So Pittsburgh, even though you lost to SMU, I mean, SMU's looking pretty good. Just stinks that you got beat down by them. That's kind of the problem. Kansas State's a solid team. Whatever. They're probably in a good spot. Just didn't know why they wound up losing to Houston. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but you check that win property. So I didn't even know about this, but yeah, something happened right there at the end of the game. Turnovers or something probably happened. Anyways, yeah, Kansas State getting held in Houston. Jeez, because I mean they were in the mix there to be on the bubble spot, possibly even going for a Big 12 championship. But I don't think they're going to be in that spot now. So I think it's mostly going to be just Iowa State and BYU now. So well, I mean, they still have an opportunity to get over Iowa State, but probably not much of one. Colorado bowl eligible. I forget how many years it's been since Colorado's been to a bowl, but I mean, Deion Sanders' second year. You can say they're all talk, but from what he's had to build up, very impressive. They are going to have Tech, Utah Utes, which Utah's not a scrub team. Kansas is a decent team. Oklahoma State, I don't know what's happened to them this year, but yeah, Colorado looking pretty good. And I mean, they have probably 3 of the most electric players in college football. After that, I don't know what they got, man. I really don't, but I don't know what they're going to have next year because I know all 3 of them dudes are going pro. Washington State has not played anybody. That's all we need to talk about. The only team that they've really played is Boise State. I don't even know why they're ranked. Just because you beat a bunch of D2 teams doesn't mean anything to me. But they don't really have a shot to get up to the top 12. No way. Louisville. So Louisville only has 3 losses, right? And if you look at all 3 losses, they're all ranked in the top 15. Notre Dame, SMU, maybe not ranked in the top 15, but they're right there in that area. And Miami. So you got 2 teams in the top 10, and then SMU there in the mid-teens somewhere area. And they beat Clemson this past week and handled Clemson. They're going to get Pitt here coming up here in a couple of weeks. So another game to kind of boost that resume. Yeah, SMU at 13. So they have 3 losses to teams in the top 15. Whew. Louisville they don't look bad. They could be a 14, 15 ranked team. They're just ranked all the way down here at 22 because they have 3 losses. Clemson ranked appropriate right behind Louisville. Where does in the AP over here? I don't get this. Why is Clemson at 19? Louisville's at 25. This is probably I like this ranking. This is a lot better. This one makes a lot more sense. Clemson hasn't done they haven't beaten anybody. Their 6 wins are almost nobody. They're impressive wins when you watch them, but they haven't beaten anybody. Right? They got beat down by Georgia, and they just got beat down by Louisville. They're only 2 ranked teams, I believe. They're only 2 ranked teams, Louisville and Georgia. They're gonna have Pitt coming up here in a couple of weeks. So good luck, Clemson. You're probably not climbing back in that race. Maybe you win the ACC championship game, and that'd be crazy to see Clemson ranked down here somewhere in the teens, lower teens, mid-teens, and they get a top 4 seed. Jeez, that'd be nuts. Missouri. Talk about one team that has completely dropped off, but I can't believe this team's still ranked. One of those things that we were kind of talking about over the past couple of weeks doing this recap. Man, Missouri. Dude, they are not a team. And A&M when they played A&M, they I believe it was A&M, right? I believe it was A&M. Yeah, it was A&M. Dude, it was so apparent that Missouri was not a team. They're just not a team. They got a lot of talented positions, kind of like Ole Miss. They got a lot of talent out there, but they're not a team. Army, Army is a team. They're not. They don't have a lot of talent. Obviously, Army, Navy, but they play as a team. They know what they're doing. Anyways, Army, they don't really have a lot of tough challenges here over the next couple of weeks, but they will get Notre Dame here over the next couple of weeks. That'll be a big one.